can we do to maintain the fruits of the sea for centuries to come? On today's menu, a celebrated New York City chef returns to his first love.
I was born a fisherman first, and I'll die a fisherman last.
One of nature's marvels, the New Zealand power.
New Zealand and Australia are the only wild-powered fisheries left.
A maverick of the Mediterranean fights for the ocean floor.
From the sea, we can't only take, but we also have to give.
A new breed of fishermen takes to the waters of Ensenada.
Mussel culture is one of the most sustainable operations.
Over the last century, overfishing has caused a widespread decline in sea life, with many species poised on the brink of extinction. Fortunately, a growing movement of fishermen worldwide are committed to finding eco-friendly solutions for harvesting the sea, ensuring the survival of one of our most valuable and most delicious foods.
We're ready to go. I actually live about a quarter mile down that way. You know, living on the water is great. I mean, need I say more? Oh, there you go, Davey. There you go. That's gonna be some nice crudo right there. Somebody once asked me which came first, fishing or cooking. Fishing definitely came first, and fishing will probably come last.
Dave Pasternak is one of the few chefs in the world whose catch of the day might have actually been reeled in by his own hands. At Esca in New York City, Pasternak serves fish from around the world, but also commits himself to sourcing locally. On the waters of the Long Island Sound, Pasternak not only supports the sustainable practices of local fishermen, but often tags along for the ride.
Christian. We got fegato, lattanini, gambia di rana, bay scallop, calamari, puntarella, mari, and anchovies. The restaurant is Esca, which means bait in Italian. We named the restaurant after bait because everything is bait. The squid eats the smelt, who eats the sardines, so on and so on and so on. So everything is bait in the ocean. Valentine, it was still anchovies grilled, right? My philosophy behind Esca is buy the best and keep it as simple as you can. I'm gonna have a gambia di rana, seared Nantucket Bay scallops, spaghetti with scorpion fish, outstanding. I grew up around the water my whole life. I understand the sea, I understand how to cook the fish in relation to its flavors and to the sea. The idea of being able to go out and catch fish and then serve it in your restaurant doesn't get better than that.
This is it right here. Here's where the big ones are.
Artie, you put me right on top. I enjoy the thrill of the fish, you know? It's just like the guy who goes on the hunt, trying to find something that's this small and something that's this big.
Oh, nice fluke. Beauty.
Oh, that's a nice one. That's the thrill. Sometimes you never really know what's on the end of the hook. Oh, that's nice. This is sea robin, sweet white meat. We'll eat one. We'll eat one this afternoon. Pete's got a fish.
Tiger skate.
Skate. Some people call it raza. It's very sweet. It has a little chewy texture to it. Being a fisherman is like being a farmer. You're farming the sea.
Catch of the day. Oh, oh.
The little local fisherman fishing with a rod and a reel produces superb quality fish.
I take this any day over chefing.
It is an artisan craft. I mean, that's the best quality. You know, the guy's catching the fish, he's putting it in an ice brine, he's handling it well. You know, it's kind of a dying art in the fish business.
And once it gets in your blood, it's addicting, right?
The only disease worse than alcoholism. Fishing. Go to the farmer's market to buy a local potato or a local egg, so why not go to the local fishmonger and buy local seafood?
Boy, am I glad we're gonna have a lot to eat.
If you don't support it, it's gonna disappear.
All right, it's time to go. It's time to go cook them up.
Taking a nap.
After Dave finishes his nap, we'll be back to cook his catch. But first, off to the other side of the globe for a dip in the waters off New Zealand's South Island.
rain knocks off.
I don't know, it looks a bit thicker that way. At 11 degrees today, so that's pretty cool. It's a right of every New Zealander to catch seafood. You can take 10 paua per person per day.
Yeah, my name's Ed Aaron, and I've come down to see my mate Dave here, and I've been diving for 20 years.
Recognizable by its iridescent shell, paua is a species of abalone that can only be found in New Zealand. Prized for both its beauty and as a delicacy, paua populations have continued to decline despite government-imposed quotas. So local fishermen like Ed Aaron and Dave Baker have taken it upon themselves to impose even stricter sanctions. Fishing along the coast of New Zealand's South Island, they voluntarily limit their catch by an additional 15% in an effort to help guarantee the survival of one of the country's most prized exports.
Oh, well, Ed, for you, I'm going to get cold.
Good on you, Dave.
Momentarily.
One of us has to do it,
Nice.
and I'm pleased it's you. Paua is abalone. That's the Maori word for abalone. And paua was very important to the indigenous people. It was a good food source for them, and they used a colourful shell for jewellery. New Zealand and Australia are the only wild paua fisheries left. To ensure the sustainability of the paua fishery, you're only allowed to snorkel for paua. You can't strap on a tank and go and take a whole bunch.
We're a small island in the middle of a very large ocean. We have very strong tides that keep nice clean water flowing through the area. We're very lucky that our type of diving is very low impact, and the fact we don't destroy anything else in the sea when we're doing what we do. So we're very passive fishery. If you kill an industry by overfishing or over-farming, then it's lost forever, isn't it? And I guess after all the years I've been involved with the fishery, we want to make sure that it is there for hundreds of years to come.
Not a bad sign there, Josh. A few nice fish. Some nice fish there, isn't they? Beauties. Bon appetit.
To shuck these guys, you just flick it on its back, and you get a knife, and you just slide it under the adductor muscle, and then if you just pull it back, that'll remove the guts. So this one is one that's been eating a bit of pink seaweed. You've got the pink colours in there. Yeah, they're paua shell, quite valuable. A tonne of paua shell is about $10,000 these days, so we certainly do save the shell. Yeah, we just need to tenderise these paua. It's a very solid piece of meat, and like a steak, just give it a few good solid whacks, and that'll just soften it up nicely. I need a little bit more. Alrighty, Dave. What do you reckon we slice a bit of this paua?
So what's this? The whole paua in the lime juice you're telling me about?
Yeah, the lime juice will just make them absolutely melt in your mouth.
People are passionate about their seafood in New Zealand. The paua itself is a beautiful animal. So I guess that's just it's a Kiwi thing. It's an important part of our lives.
Yeah, paua has a very unique flavour. It's a subtle flavour, but it's also very rich. And it's got a lovely smooth texture. I mean, that's the other thing about New Zealand. You have such fantastic ingredients. So at least you muck around with them, the better. So just keep it simple. You match it with a nice wine or a local beer, and you can't go wrong.
I think we should try a little taste of our friend's wine.
Oh, I think we should, Dave. It'd be rude not to.
It would be, wouldn't it?
This is great. What else would you want to be doing?
Exactly.
Now we just put the lime juice in and put the lid on. And that'll just steam away for a few minutes. These should cut without any problem at all. That's nice and soft, I think. Yep, that's good. It's a nice little bit of sauce over the top there. If it looks good and it smells good, it usually is good.
Beautiful, Ed. Beautifully tender.
Yep, that's good. And the lime goes well with that Sauvignon Blanc. It's just a good combination. They're so sweet.
Good food, good company on a good vessel. You've got abilities I never knew you had, Ed. Well done.
Well, I might come on a sunny day next time.
Yeah, well,
before we try that.
Fish is one of the staple gastronomic resources of the world, and no one fights more passionately to protect this resource than Paolo Fanciulli. My name's Lori DeMori. I'm a journalist and a food writer based in Tuscany.
A lifelong fisherman, Paolo Fanciulli became an activist after seeing the devastating effect commercial trawlers had on the Mediterranean. Fed up with working through the official channels of Italian bureaucracy, he decided to take matters into his own hands and came up with the idea of pescaturismo. Like a lone crusader, he demonstrates firsthand the benefits of sustainable fishing practices.
We're leaving the port of Talamone. We're going out to where Paolo's left his net yesterday. Paolo Fanciulli is a fisherman. He is also someone who invites people to participate in pescaturismo, a practice where fishermen take visitors onto their boats to show them how fishing is done properly and sustainably and, of course, deliciously. Oh, via, brava! Good girl. There's sort of three important reasons to be doing this. One is to make a living, to teach people how to do fishing properly, but at the end of the day also to have enough fish for all of us to eat.
Questa idea mia, che è nata nel 92.
You know, he's a fisherman and he wants to remain a fisherman, but if the fishing practices continued as they were, he wouldn't be able to fish in a few more years. There simply wouldn't be anything left. There's dragnet fishing that absolutely ruins the ocean floor. It's not only not good for the sea, it's not good for the fish, and it's not good for the fish that ends up on your plate. You'll see that this net is weighted on the bottom and has floaters on the top. The fish swim into it, but it isn't actually disturbing the seafloor at all. As interesting as it is to watch the net being let out, it's nothing like watching yesterday's net being pulled in. Here we go. It's just reeling it in. How amazing. First thing he's looking for when he pulls a fish up out of the net is it whole and not been attacked by anything?
Questo è un morso di un drago.
This is called a scorfano.
Morto un mio parente 2 anni fa.
2 years ago, one of his relatives, a fisherman, actually died from being stung by this. And it's very poisonous along the tip of its spine.
Allora, questo è molto pericoloso.
Scorfano is a very flavorful fish compared to many other fish that you catch. It's used as a base for fish soups. Oh, look at...
Un dentice.
Here's a dentice. This is especially delicious fish to eat.
Ma noi semplicissimo lo
The way that he would cook this is salt and olive oil on the grill. Fish this fresh and this good, you don't need anything else. This fish is salpa, and he calls this sushi marimana. Ramen sushi. Instead of soy sauce, it will have extra virgin olive oil. Yum. Absolutely delicious. This charcoal is made with wood from these hills, which is a mix of rosemary, oak, and myrtle wood. There's always a sense of place, and so you would want to cook fish from this sea on wood from these woods right here. He says it's hard to put words to the kind of emotion that being in these surroundings evokes, but something about the colors and the smells and the fish and what's living here, it pulls everything out of you. He's using the rosemary brush to take the drippings from the fish and the olive oil and paint the fish with it. We're going to be attracting a lot of hungry people with this smell flowing off the end of the boat. This is the cooked version of what I ate raw.
Maurizio.
They call this Maurizio, which I've never heard. It's very delicate, very flaky, chewy, slightly piney, resiny. What is it? The head is the best, he's saying. You don't really eat it, you suck out the goodness.
Il futuro del mare.
The future of fishing really relies on the good sense of the fisherman. He wishes among fishermen that there was less thought of money and profit, And through that, and you'd end up with a sea that was a lot more bountiful, more respected, and easier and nicer to fish from.
Io sono pescatore.
I'm a fisherman, and I'd like that everyone who came to the sea understood that from the sea we can't only take, but we also have to give.
My name is Sergio Guevara. We're at the port of Ensenada. I study oceanology here in Ensenada, and I started this mussel farming operation about 15 years ago.
Sergio Guevara started Ensenada, Mexico's first ever commercial mussel farm. By creating an environment where mussels can flourish without harming the ocean floor, Guevara produces some of the world's highest quality mussels without damaging the natural marine population.
So what do we have here?
This is the seed that we got from yesterday harvest. We separated the commercial size mussels that we shipped out to the market. And we get the small mussels that are below commercial size and put them in this socking material. So the mussels are able to attach themselves. You will see when we harvest how the mussels grow out this line. So basically we tie this to the rope and let them sit there for about 6 to 8 months. More and more, the supply of seafood is very limited. Fisheries are being overexploited all over the world. Aquaculture is the farming of aquatic organisms, and aquaculture has been advancing to the point that equivalent to the half of the production of fisheries is now aquaculture. Well, as you can see, Benito, with this hydraulic system, we're able to pull the mussels out and harvest them without having to put a diver. You know, last time you were here, you know, there were divers below the water tying and then pulling the lines up. So you can see here, we have our commercial size mussels, pretty big mussels, and we also have some seed attached to them. So that's what we do. We separate them, put them back into the water. These are almost 3 inches. These 3 will be commercial size, and then we get all these seed that we will put back.
So these mussels look very like the species in the Mediterranean. Is this the same species?
Yes, this is the Mediterranean mussel, and because of the conditions here are similar to the Mediterranean, they were able to survive here and reproduce here. So we're lucky these guys came in hitchhiking all the way from the Mediterranean to here. The size of our farm, that's about 500 acres. That is because we are in the open ocean, and one line is separated from the next line by about 50 meters. So in this area, we only be putting a total of about 100 lines. Mussel culture is one of the most sustainable operations. This is simply because, first of all, we get the mussel seed from the natural environment. The feed comes from the natural environment also. Basically what we're doing is supplying the mussels with some substrate for them to attach to, but everything else is natural. These mussels are pretty full right now. There's good food in the water, so we get a very good meat yield.
So we're gonna try this beautiful light mussel like this, as it is. Taste of very fresh ocean water. Your aftertaste is a little bitter. When you cook them, it totally changes the flavor. It's eating 2 different things.
Benito Molina and myself are partners in a restaurant that's called Muelle 3. That's basically serving mussels, oysters, and clams.
Muelle 3 is inside Aquacultura Integral's plant. We are like the front of the plant. So, I mean, the handling of the mussel is really short, straight from the water to the plant and then to the restaurant. So every day at Muelle 3, you're eating mussels of the day. So we have the beautiful mussels we saw harvested today. We're gonna try them. The best seafood in Mexico is here because the deepness of the water drops dramatically just outside here. So the water is really cold and the fat content in fish and oysters and mussels is higher. So I mean, the more fat, the more flavor. No? Fat is flavor.
Salud.
Salud, Benito.
I love what I do. The sea it's a fascination in itself. I have salt water in my veins. That's why I decided to study marine science. Aquaculture is not a business, it's a way of living.
Back at Dave's house, it's time to fire up the grill and get ready for lunch.
We're gonna get the sea robin going. We're gonna make a little guasato. People have a low confidence level when they cook fish at home. They're afraid to bring it into the house. They think the house is gonna smell, and they're not really sure how to cook it. I'm gonna wrap the one fluke whole. We're gonna actually steam it. Great thing about fish is simplicity. The more you doctor it up, the more you're taking the fish out of the equation. The idea of fish is, let the fish speak for itself, and everything else is kind of like a condiment. It's like a dressing on a salad. We're gonna put the big guy on, get him ready to grill. Beautiful. Most people overcook their seafood. When they think it's done, it is done. Guys, dig in. You're gonna have to serve yourselves. With a wine, anybody? A little rosé wine?
Sure. Magnificent. Beyond magnificent.
Fishing is the last frontier.
Well, here's the good friends and good fishing.
It's the only wild product left that we really, truly consume on a day-in, day-out basis.
This is as good as it gets right here.
You go all over the country and you see wild this, wild that. What is wild? Wild is what swims around in the ocean.
It's an Epicurean delight, right, Dave?
Yes, sir.
Let me move the boat a second.
Don't move anywhere, Artie. Oh.
The old one that got away.
It was this big. I was born a fisherman first, and I'll die a fisherman last.
Oh, there you go, Davey. There you go. Oh, maybe we got a Raj out here. Oh, he's off.